السلام عليكم. I want to talk about something slightly different. We know that computer security and privacy is very important and very essential. It affects all aspects of our lives. I wanted to sort of switch it around a little bit, and instead of talking about enterprises, talk about our perceptions. Next slide. First of all, let me just do 30 seconds of advertising for the Qatar Computing Research Institute that I am lucky to be part of. The Institute is a part of Education City, part of the Qatar Foundation. We have about over 80 people that are doing research internally in 5 areas that we'll see. We have many partnerships internally and externally. So far we have, just to by way of example, this last year we published 120 papers. We filed over the last 2.5 years over 90 patents in the US and in the UK and also in Geneva and PCT. We have 25 current invention disclosures in all areas of computing. We focus on 5 areas. That is Arabic language technology, تقنيات اللغة العربية، الأبحاث في التقنيات وفي المحتوى, both in content and also in the technology. We do work and research in social computing. It's very, very important. And we also do work in scientific computing. We also have infrastructural areas, things that we call the guts of the system. We work in data analytics, predictive analytics, and so on, how to analyze the data, how to do data profiling. We also work in distributed systems, as we've seen from the presentations that Raj and Gordon gave. It's very, very essential how security works these days. And ultimately, we're just now starting a new center within the Institute to work in computer security. We're kicking off this activity with a program in March 10-11 that is going to be defining our scope. And many of the folks here have already been invited to this meeting. So I wanted to just basically say that a few words, that something that bothers me personally. I don't think you can see the slides, or you can see the slides. I must. With the lighting, it's not very clear. However, the idea is that how we perceive, how people, in our daily lives we perceive how secure we are, and how in reality we are secure or insecure, are totally different. And we perceive sometimes that the systems that we work on are secure, when in fact they are not. And sometimes we have fears of the fact that our systems are penetrated, or the information that we have are not secure, where in fact they are more secure than so the idea is that we can feel that we're secure, and so on and so forth. There has been a very good TED talk that's given by Bill Schneider that analyzes this, the cognitive biases, the fact that why is it always fascinates me, why is it that young people feel that they could put their whole life on Facebook and not worry about it? This is a phenomenon that is really worthy of understanding and analyzing. The fact that we assume that these things are common and they're not very rare, that we're familiar with these environments, that in fact that we feel anonymous when in fact we are not anonymous when we are in social networks. And also people feel that they're under control, that they have the situation under control. I'm going to venture to say that the perception, in order for us to achieve the optimal situation, this perception and reality have have to come together. In order to do that, this is the work that everybody on the panel has talked about. But they've talked about it in technical terms. They've talked about it in technical terms. That is, all the great work that's being done in computer security, how to protect the systems, and so on and so forth. What I want to say is that we need a new type of work. We need a new type of multidisciplinary work. We need psychologists, sociologists, criminology or criminal scientists, the law enforcement, to come together to bring a new aspect to working in computer security. Computer security can't be done all alone in a technical realm, in the technical world. And just to give you an example, if we look at my own life, in Qatar, alhamdulillah, we're very digital. We're more digital than most societies. When somebody arrives, everything is done online. You get your driver's license, you take your picture once, and it's automatically, so there's a lot of information about citizens online. QTEL, Qatar Airways contains a lot of, QNB has a lot of information about our lives. These systems are very protected using password and authentication and so on and so forth. So we feel fairly secure that this information is protected. However, if you look on the other side, there's a lot of information that exists on, in social networks, whether in Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. Huge amounts of data, a huge amount of users, 750 million unique monthly visitors, for example, in Facebook. And despite the fact that 100 petabytes are uploaded on Facebook in June, 25% of all the hundreds of millions of users have no security settings whatsoever. And they feel like they trust this because it's anonymous. They trust the machine. I don't know where this is coming from, but this is the way, this is the world that we live in. Now, threats are real. Information gets stolen every day. Accounts get hacked. Twitter attacked 250,000 user accounts. Recently, there has been a Facebook hack where 410,000 users' accounts have been hijacked and so on and so forth. The FBI has issued through the financial cybercrime sting, 24 arrests have recently been made, 410,000 computer accounts hacked and so on. So this is real. I'm not trying to say that it's not real. So what I want to close with, a glimpse at a world that we live in, where now you've seen the information that you give voluntarily on social networks without knowing how this information would be used. And we assume that this information is only available to our closed network of friends, where in fact it's very accessible. We also have all the information that we give freely because we need to. We give it to the enterprises that we deal with, like our banks and our airlines and so on and so forth. There is a new threat that has been getting stronger and stronger, and that is user profiling. There are companies, there are sites, things like 123 People, People's Finders, Spokio, and etc., etc., etc. These things are coming on every day, where they find information about citizens that is coming from web information and from deep web information. These crawlers crawl beyond the web through the deep web and get information that may be given to enterprises. And this is very scary. It's a very scary prospect. So age information, location, history information, government records, relatives, how people are tagged on photos, pictures of our homes, and this has implications. For example, you could tell from a house picture whether this person is affluent, whether they're poor, whether, you know, and so on and so forth. By the way, this is free, all free of charge. You can just go and use it today, and it's free, freely accessible. If you want to pay $10, you get a lot more information. So So why should we worry? We should worry because this information is being used by schools, by recruiters, by spammers, by stalkers, and information exists about children, and information exists about teenagers. And children and teenagers are the most vulnerable, and they're the least careful. And so I just wanted to talk about a different aspect. There is the social, the psychology, the criminology, those types of aspects of computer security. And jazakum Allah khair.